If everyone doesn't mind standing up, if you don't mind, you've been sitting all morning, so you'll be a bit stiff, so limber up the limbs. So on the count of 3, I'd like you all to jump in the air, okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we've just generated enough energy to charge 2 of our new street lights for around about 17 minutes. You can all sit down now. Thank you very much. By 2050, there's going to be an estimated 9 billion people on the planet. That's 75%. 75% of which will be living in urban areas. To give you some idea, this is Wembley Stadium. It has a capacity of 90,000 people. That's over 16,500 Wembley Stadiums in our urban areas. As Bill Gates highlighted in his annual statement 2 weeks ago, we need to find resources along with wind and solar that can generate energy. We didn't leave the Stone Age because we ran out of stone. We can't leave the fossil fuel age because we ran out of fossil fuels. We have to evolve and progress as human beings. So Pavegen is a company which was founded in 2009 by a 23-year-old guy called Lawrence Kemble Cook. He had a vision, having done a placement with E.ON, looking into wind and solar in the built environment, and he looked at the way in which we could harness people's footsteps. And so he developed this idea, and this is kind of where we focus ourselves around, in that smart city space in the future for the core business. When he came up with the idea, he needed to install it. So he installed it in his first school in Simon Langton. Can we redo this and then put the music up a little bit, please? Thanks. So this was the result of his first installation back in 2009.
No, I'm so impressed by this. I want to stand on it for ages. Wait. Yay!
So his reaction there, that kid, without realizing it, we kind of gamified renewables. You can't play with a wind turbine, you can't interact with a solar panel, but a Pavegen tile, which most of us do every day, we walk. And that is the immediate response. So as people walk on the tiles, it generates energy. This is the old tile, which has a light in the middle. We actually don't manufacture these tiles anymore because a lot of ladies didn't walk on them because they thought there were cameras looking up their dresses. Again, things you learn as a startup. The other output is data. So when you stand on a tile, 2% of that links directly to the cloud. So we're able to see real time how much energy has been generated and how many steps we have over a certain area. So we can understand the flow of people from a back-end perspective and also a front-end and engage and trigger things to happen. There's 2 sides of the business. So I joined just over a year ago. My background, I was at M&C Saatchi, so more of a media side. And I was brought on to launch Pavegen Live, because to date, most of our projects have been brand-led events, proving that kinetics have got a place to play. Meanwhile, the core business, Pavegen Systems, is focused on deploying the tiles in high-footfall areas, airports, train stations, with a new system, driving the price down so we can really scale. Permanent installations, we have it in Heathrow Terminal 3, where we've got a walkway, a train station in Saint-Omer in Paris, where as people walk and they commute in the morning, it helps power LED lights around that area. As already mentioned, there are kind of 2 core outputs. You've got the energy and the data. What we do with this and how we work both sides of the business, we want to focus on the physical side. So that's the physical experience of it. And connect it with the digital, the interaction, the mobile space, and also the human, you and me. And we call this the Internet of Beings. It's about people, not things, people. So what this entails. So when I joined Pavegen, I had no idea what a kilowatt hour did. And I don't know, this room, you're very smart people, I'm sure, and you're more smart cities, so you will have an idea. But the people growing up now possibly don't. So it's about educating people and teaching them what energy means. When you flick a light on this presentation, what is needed to run this? And it's engaging with them. So how do we interact and entertain and educate people about energy? We can then reward people for their behavior. So we did something with Uniqlo where we created units around their stores. As people jump on the tiles, if they reach a certain mark in a certain amount of time, they get a voucher which they can redeem. We can also gamify it. So we did something with Coca Cola in Milan at the World Expo. So as people jump on the tiles, it interacted with this game, LED lights went up on the side, and then the volume increased. You've then got the digital side. So we can present this real time. So the top left image is on the Champs-Élysées of the Paris Marathon, where we installed 172 tiles, a mile from the finish line. So as people ran over the tiles, you could see how much energy was being generated. The spectators had their own tiles, so they could see if they could generate more than the 67,000 runners. We can integrate with mobile. We don't need an app. We don't need an iBeacon. We could just have a wireless proximity-based service, so we can see real-time how much energy is being produced. We can integrate with social media, which is what we did with WWF in Singapore. So when certain milestones were achieved, it would send out a tweet. We can donate the energy. So we did a project with Samsung in South Africa, where we installed the tiles in a walkway this time last year, stored the physical steps up over a period of 3 months. They built an app, so us here, Lawrence in New York at the moment, can donate their virtual steps. And we combine those virtual and the physical steps, and we captured 402 million steps over 3 months. We've just brought on an advisor, a guy called Jeff Martin, who founded iTunes and worked with Steve Jobs for 5 years, how he sees Pavegen being in the future. Yes, there's a physical, there's the digital element, and there's the energy side. But what is big in America and is being ever seen is this well-being factor. And how do we engage with people? So as you come out of Old Street, if you walk over the Pavegen walkway, we'll reward you and give you points. So instead of going up the escalator, you'll go over the Pavegen walkway, and over a certain amount of time, we'll create a currency. So money is just a value. If we can create currency through people walking and through their behaviors, then we can reward it that way. So that's what we're working on in the future. And then you've got the physical side. So we make floors. We have a physical product. And that's what we often forget, is that we are a flooring company. And that's the aim of the business, is to bring the unit price down competitive to Terrazzo flooring. Then you've got the energy. So this is in the Crystal building in East London, the most sustainable building in Europe, and where we've had this energy sort of pod, which lights up as you jump, educating people on how much energy they're producing. We can then brand them different and change the surface. With the new system, it's rigid because it's triangular in shape. So we can have any ceramic, any hardwood. We can even have a flexible stone surface that goes on the top. And we can integrate with applications. So it's about, smart cities of the future are about being connected. And that's what we're looking to do, is integrate with all these other devices. For Pavegen Live, this is sort of the 4 areas that we focus on: events, advertising, venues, and retail. And I guess retail's the main area where Pavegen Live we do something with an H&M, for example, and then they want to roll it out permanently. And retail for Pavegen systems is where we're really focusing on from a permanent side as well. These are some of the clients we've worked with to date. These are more the sort of brand-led clients. Other ones we work with are TfL, GDF Suez, Kia, installing it outside their office in Korea. And this is the installation we got in Heathrow. So on the left here, you can see the tiles, which have been branded up. So they're rectangular in shape. They're made from recycled truck tire, and they flex. And there's a dynamo inside there that spins, very much like a bicycle wheel. So we're quite limited in what material we can have. So as people walk across here, these LED lights across the side light up. So when you're next commuting through Terminal 3, have a run on the tiles. Our most famous project to date has been with Shell, which is where we built up the first green football pitch in the world. So we installed our tiles. We tracked Gareth Bale to understand where he plays on the pitch, installed the tiles, and as people run on the tiles, they generate the energy and data. I'm going to have to go because there's 30 seconds left. So the success of that campaign, they went from 2% engagement on their social channels to an uplift of 24% positive engagement. We subsequently built a second football pitch in Nigeria with Akon in Lagos last month, and that's sort of Shell are pushing this forward. This is the new system, so where we're taking it from a rectangle to a triangle. So we're going from before, if you stood on the corners, you wouldn't generate any energy. Now, you've got a generator under each corner. Got a guy called Craig Webster who's leading this development, and he is ex-head of Cambridge Consultants and helped Black & Decker. And so he's re-engineered the generators under each of them. It's also rigid, so we can produce a lot. It means we can have any surface, whereas before it had to flex. And this is what it looks like. And we've got this installation's actually going into Westfield outside Stratford Station in June this year. We've also recently won a grant to put it on Bird Street, just off Oxford Street with TfL. And we've got another installation going into Washington, just around the corner from the White House at DuPont Circle. So this is it's going to look something similar to this in Westfield. So as people walk across the tiles, outside the tube on the left there, we've got a dot matrix LED totem in between, and they'll be directly powering those. So yes, there'll be a energy play for that, and the tiles will power that, but it can also be programmable. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got any questions, please fire them.
Thank you, Archie.
Sorry, I ran over. Yeah.